being prepared and having a budget and understanding your numbers, the real power behind it is just feeling so light all the time.
I think there are going to be lots of tips and tricks that have helped you save and invest more. Should we share a few of those now?
Avoid sticking with banks just because you've been with them forever.
It's such a good tip.
Intelligence has absolutely nothing to do with it. I have honestly seen the most financially illiterate millionaires. You fall off the wagon, don't wait until the next month to get back on.
We start again.
We have to do the absolute basics before we can have the best time of it.
Oh, God, it's 2025. Back and, it's time to really sort your shit out if you are having a blowout like me. It's the second week of January and I've already blown my budget. So you know what? We've just decided this is the year that we get it sorted. I am going to be very open about what I am doing with my budget, where I am going wrong. And we have Dani, who is our curve budgeting extraordinaire. She is so passionate about this and she has budgeted and saved and just been meticulous with the way that she approaches this for over a decade. So this episode is, firstly, I'd like to apologize. I forgot to hit record and the audio is a little bit shit. So we've done our best, but there are a few times where we sound like robots. So just excuse that. Also, we're going to do a part 2. This conversation is not one that you can have in 40 minutes. So we're going to leave it here for today. After this conversation, we're going to check in again in a month, just because I think I need to implement what I learned in this episode before coming back for part 2. And then thirdly, we mention our universal money and investing course in here because what we share in this episode, we've plucked bits of what we teach in that. So if you'd like to find out more about that and you want to actually really commit to doing your money properly in 2025, we will put a little snippet in now and you can find out heaps more details in the podcast show notes.
No one has ever saved their way to being a millionaire.
Picture an investor. What comes to mind?
A man in a suit, lots of money,
Maybe over 50 and far from relatable.
Investing does not look like that anymore.
If you want to have more money, you need to be investing. And we're going to tell you exactly how to do it.
You don't need a finance degree.
You do not need a high salary.
Or even lots of time.
It's way more simple than you think.
Learn with us today.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Okay, let's get into the episode. Also, don't judge me for the amount that I spent on plasters.
It is 2025. Officially, we are in the new year. We wanted to start the podcast this year talking about budgeting. I think this has been the biggest, exciting, most empowering part of my financial journey up until now. That's for me, when we first started the curve, we spoke about investing and stocks and all those things. And I got really excited by the shiny things. But it was I hadn't cleaned my shoes first. I feel like I jumped to all the fun stuff, the things that you really do when you can.
Yeah.
Rather than focusing on cleaning up the house, making sure your room's tidy before you go out for a fun party.
Yeah, we have to do the absolute basics before we can have the best time of it.
Yeah, I wasn't doing that. And when I would try to have the best time ever, it wasn't the best time ever because I was so stressed out because I was like, but I've invested. I've done all the good things.
It's kind of like when you learn something that's above your grade as well. We talk about finance all the time, right? We talk about investing all the time, but all of that stuff means nothing if we haven't put all of the tightest parameters in place first of all, checking that everything's airtight and building on it from there.
Do you know what I've just realized? The best analogy ever. I was having dessert before dinner. That's what I was doing. Dinner is what's going to fuel me for the next day. That's going to give me energy. It's going to make me healthy. And the dessert is the fun added extra. And I was skipping dinner and going straight for the ice creams. I would say, come a long way. No longer skipping the main.
Yeah.
But this is recent. Actually, we were buying a falafel wrap for lunch just before. And Dani saw me transfer from my nice to have, my wants, into my spending. And she was like, did you? And I was like, yep. Be a float.
Which was so cool because you actually went into your bank account. It wasn't sat in your immediately reachable funds, which is exactly the right thing. And then you transferring across, mindfully going, I am making this purchase, transferring across and then paying for it. I was like, oh my God, I'm so proud.
Yeah. I'm real proud too. It's quite interesting because I remember Hills of Cassius we had on. If you haven't listened to the episode, highly recommend. So Raising the Kid 134, how financial literacy can change your life. with Norma Cassius. She said to me off mic, you sort of given me the energy that you have like financial anxiety. And I was like, yeah, I do, but I know I'm kind of an anxious person in general. I was like, I don't really want to just fall back on these like terms. She was like, no, you don't know your numbers. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you don't know your numbers. You don't know how much you have to spend on this. That creates such underlying financial anxiety. And I was like, she's so right. It's so simple. I don't know my numbers. Even if I should really feel good about a purchase or something I'm spending, I don't, because I don't have the connective piece for what portion of my pay that's being allocated to. And
Which means you can't act in confidence ever.
no, and I mean, it's that even when I'm spending money on myself that I deserve and that I totally should feel entitled to do, there's this like low level of guilt because I don't know really if I should be spending it or not.
Yeah, I think that being prepared and having a budget and understanding your numbers, the real power behind it is just feeling so light all the time. Being able to walk into a shop and love something and really, really want to buy it and not have to worry that you've got enough or that, am I going to be able to pay the bill at the end of the month though if I do this?
And it's interesting because what I used to think, budget equals control, budget equals obsessing over money, budget means tracking every dollar and cents in a really negative way, because that's the only way I've ever tracked money, is in a really like,
It's a really old school way of thinking.
yeah. And actually what I found is by putting this stuff in place, it's made me think about money much less and as a tool. And in a really weird way, it's made me just value my paycheck. I know that sounds so obvious, but my paycheck equals being able to do the things I want now, the things I need to do now, and the things I want to the future. It motivates me so much seeing the numbers go up in the different areas.
That makes sense. Kind of what you're saying is before it gave you relief when you got paid, and now it gives you excitement.
Yes. Oh my God, that's exactly it. That is exactly it.
Yeah, because you were 2 days till payday, 1 day till payday, and now you're like, doesn't matter. I'm completely organized. When my pay comes in, it means more.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's not relief, it's excitement. And it does make me a little bit annoyed at myself. I know this is not helpful, but I've been paid how many hundreds of times in my life? So I've been paid approximately, let's just say I've been paid like 150 times. I have made the most of my pay 2 times. It's so sad.
Just see it as empowering, and also how lucky you are that you have a platform where you can educate people not to waste 142 of their pays. It's not sad.
It is really sad. That's a lot of money.
Think about if you had started doing that 10 years ago and you had this put in place, then all of the surplus you would have had to put into investments or savings each month, even if it is 10 years from now or it was 10 years then, 10 years in front of you can still be that powerful.
Yeah, true. We need to not look back, but need to look forward.
Exactly.
This entire conversation, and just in case you haven't picked up on it, is about budgeting. We want to talk about how you can get your finances in a really strong place to be able to eliminate as much financial anxiety as possible. And that's things like emergency funds, being out of debt, paying for the way you want to live your life, paying for the things that you need to live your life, and then having left over to invest in the stock market. And that is really, it sounds so simple when you say it like that. And it really is that simple. What you have to do is just take the time.
Intelligence has absolutely nothing to do with it, because I'm just thinking like you're a super intelligent person. I've spoken to another very intelligent person even last week, and it is crazy how many people who earn really good money, who are really intelligent and live really like put together lives, don't have that basic understanding. So for anyone that's thinking like this is above me, or like what if I can't understand it or whatever, no, it's for every single person. Lots of people think that just because people have money, they have the understanding of what to do with it. And it's just not true. I have honestly seen the most financially illiterate millionaires. Usually it's generational wealth.
Imagine that.
I don't think I want to live like that.
I think sometimes I feel like ignorance is bliss, only sometimes. If someone said to me, there will be an endless pot of money that is poured into your account, I think I would choose that. Says I would feel the same empowered of like, I'm never going to run out. I'm just so annoyed at myself that I've been such a head in the sand silly for so long.
No, we look forward.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll stop. I'm feeling sad for myself. So you cannot manage what you do not measure. But yeah, a lot of us aren't taught these money basics. And so looking an account is terrifying. Or even sitting down to have a look and reassess is like, nope, won't be doing that.
But the best lessons are usually learned by making mistakes, really, because you have to feel consequence of something to understand how important it is. you know?
I don't think I've learned that. I've done some stupid things. I'm doing specifically with money.
Okay.
I've done the same mistake again and again and again and again in my whole life. And it wasn't until I got this blueprint that I thought, oh, okay, I can do that.
Yeah, but you've made that mistake so many times. You now have done the calculations of a couple of £100,000 has been a lot less space on your lack of connection with this formula and lack of action. It's a pretty big lesson to learn.
Yeah.
You're not going to go backwards from this.
No, let's hope not.
I will not let that.
Dani, firstly, can you give some context as to how you figured out to manage your money in this way? And I realize that we're doing the biggest tease of all time. You're probably like, tell me the stuff, I want to know now. But I do think it's not just as simple as like A plus B equals C. So like, let's give some context as to why we now teach this way at the Curve. Where did it come from for you? Like, how did you figure it out?
I think by making mistakes, you know, I moved out of home young and spent money as it was coming in, because that's fun when you're getting a paycheck for the first time and you're spending it as a sort of young adult. And then, you know, not having a lot of other resources to go to fill up that pot again, and understanding, okay, next time I'm not going to be able to get the bus to work if I don't budget. You know, it really does force you into that kind of way of thinking. The necessity to have to really crunch the numbers, because there weren't any other pots, which I'm really grateful for, because now we can, you know, speak about the things that we do here, and it sort of taught me to budget at a really young age. And I honestly don't think that a lot of things I've been able to do in my life I would have been able to do or had the opportunities I've had if I hadn't started managing my money quite young.
Okay, so how old were you when you first put your budget in place?
16.
Is it the same type of budget that you're still running now?
Well, it's actually gotten slightly more relaxed now.
Really?
Yeah, because you kind of get to that point where you've built up what I would consider financial freedom. So 2 things. It's been running in a pretty consistent way for a long time. And obviously, if you do something for a long time, it becomes a habit.
Wait, 16. So that means you've budgeted for how long?
I'm about to turn 35, so 19 years.
Whoa, that is such a decent amount of time to have your budget in check.
It definitely got stronger. You know, I would say 16 to 24, 25, probably not the most robust, but understood. Rent gets paid, bills get paid, and whatever is left over is sort of just my clay money. But then the investing and sort of saving elements came in sort of mid-20s, when I realized that part of fun money I had was actually quite big and I was wasting it. So I sort of segmented that off and used more of fun money on the future than having it just immediately.
If you described what budgeting means to you now, how would you explain it? If someone was like, you've got 1 to 2 sentences, what would be your definition of budgeting?
Empowerment and lightness, I think.
It's so ironic.
I feel light. There's a lot of things that we all have to worry about. If we can remove having to think about that to as much of a degree as possible, it's an absolute game changer. I think about the times where I would worry about it, and it just takes up so much of your life. And it's kind of like an unnecessary stress, because you're going to have what you're going to have in that month, right? Unless you're changing jobs, then it's going to be the money that comes in that month is pretty straightforward. It's in front of you. Say it's $3,000, say it's $4,000, whatever it might be. What is the point of stressing about it throughout the month? That's not going to go up. You've got that amount of money, so you have to sort of work with that number and make that work for your life throughout that month. But we put so much pressure on ourselves and stress. And it's like, I think that's why conversations are so important as well. Being able to say to your friends, I'm actually not in a position where I can go out to that kind of dinner right now. Can we do a dinner at home instead? But instead of stressing out about the social pressure of it and that $100 being something that actually needed to go on your phone bill.
Yes.
Yeah. So empowerment gets you to the point where I don't have to have those conversations anymore.
Because you just say no in the first place?
Well, both. I just say no in the first place because I've got boundaries around what I will and won't spend my money on, but also because I've been taking care of my money for a long time. I don't have to have those conversations because I can go to those places and not stress out about it. If it's somebody's birthday, I've budgeted for it. So it's not empowering.
I'm definitely not there yet in terms of like the micro, smaller amounts. Even thinking back to like Christmas, I didn't buy my presents until like the 23rd of December. Does that give you heaps of anxiety? Yeah. But I buy, I don't know.
Well, kind of nice. You probably got some deals.
No, I wouldn't say that. Okay. I think there are going to be lots of tips and tricks that we can talk about here that have helped you save and invest more. Yep. Should we share a few of those now and then go more into the how to actually split your pay?
Yeah. I think people fall into the trap of sticking with the bank they've been with their whole life. And that is a big missed opportunity.
I've done that. I'm still with the bank I was with since I was 0.
Yeah. Since you were 0?
I'm pretty sure my bank account was set up really young.
Probably by your parents.
And actually, I was 5. I remember it was my 5th birthday. And I think my grandma took me to the bank and got me a bank account.
I'm going to say here,
I'm a cute 5-year-old Sophie.
5-year-old Sophie.
I reckon I was quite cute.
I remember when I went to the bank the first time, my dad took me in and we were able to deposit £2 and they gave me a little plastic briefcase for opening a bank. And I guess that's because they were emulating a male banker. Right?
Not that cute.
Not that cute. But they gave me a suitcase and inside it had chocolate money.
So cool. It's just cute. Like, that's such a cool memory. It's so cool you remember that.
Avoid sticking with banks just because you've been with them forever.
It's such a good tip.
There are new deals all the time. It's like they want new customers. Other banks are fighting for you. They will have a better deal for new customers. I almost guarantee it. You know, it might be 0.2% more on a savings account because you switch over.
Could they give you special deals just for swapping? So you could say, I'll join you if you give me a 5. Oh my God.
So say you've been with Barclays in the UK, right? And you've been with it for 34 years, 33 years. If you're not doing a cost comparison on what other banks are offering in terms of like high yield savings accounts, high interest savings accounts,
Which we will explain more
on, term deposits, or even just credit cards like we talked about last time, there's varying degrees of interest in all of these banks. And some of them just have significantly better deals than the other. And they rely on people just not checking the competitors. They really do.
Literally me to a T. I have not once thought about swapping a bank.
And banks drop their interest rates on their high interest savings accounts all the time.
How annoying is it to move though?
It's simple. They'll do it for you.
Really?
Yeah. If you register with a new bank and you want to send all the details across, you'll fill out a new form and then you can simply just transfer your money across in one lump sum. I know some banks that will do it for you depending on at the level you're transferring because they really want your custom.
Oh my God. Also, sorry, when you say they want your custom, say what customer? Okay. Like, what does custom mean?
Bank trade.
Oh, yeah, customer.
Yeah.
She's slow today.
2025 is
happy to be here. Thanks, Dani. Yeah. Okay, great. So look at the different options for different banks.
Keep your options open always. And old banks are typically the worst. They do not try and keep up with the competition of the times. The new banks
need to because I'm lazy and don't check.
Yep. Basically, they're relying on kind of the mentality of I've been with them forever. It's easy. No.
Shit.
Make the uncomfortable change, even if it's like 10 minutes of admin, could save you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars a year in missed interest here.
Okay.
And Monzo and Revolut and Co-op in the UK, they're pretty competitive really when it comes to it. Whereas Barclays would, I think, at time of research was like 1% less than a high interest savings account on Monzo. 1%'s massive if you take it across the year.
Main thing here is like neobanks, so digital banks are going to probably have better deals.
The majority of them have better deals. They're more competitive because they've got their eye on the market more. Whereas the heritage banks, the old banks that you've been with forever and ever and ever, they've been around a long time. They don't have to work as hard. They've got a lot of customers.
Okay, that's such a good tip.
Tip number 2, consistency is key. It takes a lot of days to build up any kind of habit. Whether you're trying to eat better in the new year, whether you're trying to reduce alcohol, see your friends more, be more mindful, getting off social media, apart from obviously tuning into the curve. All habits, all new habits take time. So be kind to yourself. If you fall off the wagon, don't wait until the next month to get back on because the amount that you'll waste in money, I had a blowout this weekend. I'm going to start fresh next month. What if there's 20 more days left in that month? Are you just going to default back to your old habits, spend until you get the relief of the next payday?
Yeah.
No, restart the next day. Don't let the wagon run over you.
Yes.
There's been so many times throughout my life where I've had blowouts and it's usually when I've had too many drinks. I am that person. I think the last big one I did, I picked up the bill for like 9 people.
Why did you do that?
I don't know.
Well, you'd had a few drinks.
Yes.
How much was the bill, if you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Was it like over $2,000?
Just under.
Wow, that's a lot of money. What were you thinking?
I was thinking, I've got it. I want to do something nice for you. I'm not going to see you guys for ages. Don't worry about it. Because it was kind of a goodbye drink situation. And everyone was sort of, oh, we'll split it 10 ways. I was like, you know what? Don't worry. The next day, writing 6 different versions of, hey guys, had a great night last night. Here are my details.
Oh, no. It's so awkward in hindsight.
I just copped it. Drunk Dani is generous.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so how long ago did that happen?
Just under a year ago.
How did you get back on the bandwagon?
I didn't socialize for about 2 weeks after.
I punished myself.
No, I'd used all of the money up.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna make myself go bad for weeks and weeks. But I was like, well, that you've made a choice in that moment that you're not gonna be out having dinners for the rest of the month now.
Yeah.
So that was how I got back onto that. Actually, it was more than 2 weeks of recovery time. I think that took me about 4 or 5 weeks of not going out for dinners. But by the time I was over, cool, we can start the clock again. Like, you're back to normal budgeting.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, I'm not going to punish myself forever. I immediately was like, slap on the wrist. Now you don't go out for dinners for the rest of the month because you have to sort of learn that lesson. And you get back on, you go.
It's so easy, though, to be like, I'll start on Monday. I'll start on payday with anything.
This weekend's gone, forget about it. No one successful says anything like that. Any self-help books are not going to be like, forget about it. Give yourself a couple of weeks. They're going to say, start again.
Yeah. Okay. We start again.
Google Shopping is a really good tool and just Googling in general. If you want to buy something, if I want a new pair of trainers, not just going into a shop, a physical store, and buying first pair of trainers you see. This sounds really obvious, but that instant gratification thing costs people a lot of money. Find the one you want and then go online and do a bit of research.
You do a good thing. You do that a lot. You'll go and try something on, like a new pair of shoes. You'll be like, cool, that's my size. And then you'll look online and find them cheaper.
Yeah, I do.
It's just not being lazy with purchasing.
Exactly. And that's where the instant gratification comes in though as well. It's like, do you really need it this second, or could you wait 2 more days and save yourself maybe $50?
I think when you have a budget in place and you understand the value of $50, £50, that's when you choose the sensible option. I think up until now, because I haven't had any budget and I haven't known my numbers, I can just convince myself of anything. Oh, your time is money. Oh, it's not worth your time. Whereas now I'm having to really prioritize what I want and need, like as in where my money's going. So when I have to make a decision like that, I will choose the more sensible one.
That's the next tip as well. It's work out what the difference could buy you. So if you go into a shop and something is £100, and then you quickly on your phone in the shop search that product and see it for £70, there's a £30 difference. And honestly, that happens all the time. That's not a rare instance. Tell yourself what you could buy with that £30. You're like, okay, I could buy this now for £100 and walk out with it immediately. Done. Purchase made. I could wait 2 days, get that delivered to my house. It cost me £70. I could then take my boyfriend out for dinner.
Where are you going for dinner for £30? Surely there's strict budgets on not ordering a drink at that dinner.
Yeah. And I said dinner, I meant fries.
I need a snack.
But you know what I mean? Like, what else could that money get me? The difference in purchasing, like £30, that could do a lot for somebody.
Yes. Okay. If you go to the effort of saving money by not taking the quick fix or the easy option or the instant gratification, reward yourself with thinking about how you will spend that extra money.
Yes.
Rather than just thinking about it as like, cool, let's just go back into a pot that I don't even get to think about. You actually get more treats by being good.
Exactly. That was very well phrased. Much better than how I was trying to do it.
Let's just talk about how you personally split your money, because this is now how we're teaching it at the Curb, which I think is just absolute game changer. You split it into separate buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk through those 3 buckets?
Yep. So I put them into essentials, which is my rent, my bills, my groceries, anything that is basically essential for me to live. Non-essentials, which are my nice to haves, getting my nails done, if I need sort of new lipstick or something like that, drinks and dinners with friends. Then whatever is left over is my surplus. And that either goes into a type of savings that's generating money on money through interest, or it goes into my investments. So 3 buckets.
If someone is in debt or doesn't have an emergency fund, what would they do with that surplus instead? Because what I was doing was putting that money into investments, but I had debt and I didn't have an emergency fund.
Going back to stress and pressure, we need to alleviate stress and pressure with the surplus money, right? And the quickest and easiest way to do that is to give yourself that emergency fund. So if anything does go wrong, which life happens and we're not in control of everything all the time, much to my dismay.
We went for the Curve Christmas party at Winter Wonderland, and I was absolutely about to wee my pants getting on this ride, like so scared. And I was just like, I think I was just trying to throw a shake because I was feeling nervous. I was like, well, Dani, you're a control freak. How do you get on a ride?
Yeah, I was like, why coming for me?
Yeah.
Just do it, get on the ride.
She's like, I love the feeling of just like letting go and not being able to control it. And I was like, I love that. And then I went on this giant ride. It was like this big claw called like the XXL or something terrifying. And the whole team went on it. And I was like, I really let myself relax. And I was like, I'm not going to die. Like, I know I'm fine. So I'm not going to try and control the fear here. And it was quite life-changing. I've told so many people about the fact that I went on that ride.
Well, I mean, we're not trying to tell people, though, just let go on it like happened to you. Having a cushion,
Yes.
makes things that you're not in control of a little bit more palatable and enjoyable.
That's a really good way to put it. It's like you will need a root canal at some stage. You will have a car that breaks down. You will have something that goes awry. And rather than reaching for a credit card or having to pull money out of your investments, you have an emergency fund.
Yeah. So if it's not in your essentials, it's not in your non-essentials, and it's your surplus, but you've got debt or you've got a credit card to pay off or you don't have an emergency savings pot, then that surplus needs to be going to one of those. Definitely building your emergency savings. That is the priority. And then the remainder of that, a portion of that, if you were going to put it towards debt at the same time.
Genius.
Yeah.
I'm very proudly out of debt right now. Actually, right now, in general, I'm out of debt. I'm all out of debt.
That's like amazing.
I know. I'm so proud of myself.
And that's a big deal because what was the stat? The average UK person has around £34,000 in personal debt.
Yeah, and it's similar in Australia and New Zealand too. Now, let's define.
Okay.
So you just made it very clear. Wants, needs,
Yeah.
surplus.
Yeah.
Surplus will go into either an emergency fund if you don't have one, which I don't think we go into too much detail on right now, only because we've got quite a few things to get through. But if all of this is, if you're hearing it and you're thinking, okay, I can do this, I should be doing this, I want to know more, the Universal Money and Investing course, we'll link it in the podcast show notes, goes into this in way more detail so you can actually go through and set everything up as you go through.
Yeah.
But yeah, you either put your surplus towards your emergency fund, then you pay off your debt, then you've got your money to invest. Let's go into more details around how we define a want and a need, like an essential or a non-essential.
Yeah. Well, anything can be scooped into essentials if we aren't strict with ourselves. You know,
I need to get my teeth whitened.
wrong.
I need to go to the gym.
Correct.
It's an essential. Love it. And that's actually different to a lot of budgeting.
Yeah.
And I love this. This was fully spearheaded by Dani. It's the idea that we want people living healthy, happy lives. That involves looking after your physical, mental, emotional health.
Yeah. And we also include therapy in that.
Yeah.
Because if I needed to live my life in a happy and healthy way, then I consider it an essential. Do I need Netflix to thrive? No, it is not essential. That's personal value. I had decided I do not need Netflix in order to live my life. I really need to have a healthy system for my mind and my body though. And that really helps as well because then you don't feel like you're going without anything. And it's not about going without things. It's realizing that essential means you can't live without it or you can't get by without it. It's like if your boss says everything's urgent. Well, if everything's urgent, then nothing's really urgent. And it loses all sense of meaning, non-essential and essential, and just blurs into one, and you don't really take any action on anything. You have to be very clear and defined. That's actually a really uncomfortable thing for a lot of people too, when they go through their list. I've done it with a lot of people now, and they write their list out, and they'll put manicures and essentials.
Okay, should I read you mine?
Yes.
Let me get mine. Because my next question was going to be, how can we, if someone's listening and they want to like go through and have a little audit, like what would they do or how would they be strict with themselves? You'll be so proud of me as well. I put it as a spreadsheet, which is so rare for me. And I hate a spreadsheet, but I thought, I'm going to do it.
I'm proud on so many levels, Jazz podcast.
I'm sorry.
They would be so proud of you right now.
Yeah, she would be, wouldn't she? Okay, this was the last month for me. These are all the things that I considered essentials. Healthcare. Like actually, maybe this is a questionable one. I needed to get plasters because I had really bad blisters, and stuff at the pharmacy because I found myself getting sick. So I put it in the essential. How do we feel about that?
It's not an essential because it's not a fixed cost.
Okay. But it was essential for me to be happy and healthy.
Yeah, fine, but you can't ever forecast that.
Winter hat. I had no beanie, and I thought this is an essential. Anyway, I put winter hat, winter jumper ×2 in essentials. Now, arguably, I could have got a cheaper, shitter one, but I got hand knitted mohair and they were both, I got them on sale.
The question here is, did you have another jumper at home?
No.
Well, then yes, it's an essential.
Yeah, I hardly have any jumpers.
Yeah, well, so you do have another jumper at home.
I would have one, but I needed it. Yes, I did.
No, you wouldn't. No, you didn't, because you could have just worn your normal jumper this month and then put an extra £50 in your nice to haves next month and then bought it then from your nice to haves.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking, you've always said essentials if you need warm socks, if you need it.
You were just saying yes to the hat and no to the jumper because you just said you have a jumper at home.
Not a warm one like that. Honestly, I don't have I didn't have any woolen things. I had shitty cotton things. I like hoodies.
Okay.
No, I reckon it was essential. I stand by it.
Cool.
I stand by my essential. Transport, I always put in my essentials, but that was not an Uber, just to clarify. That was bus, train, blah, blah, blah. Groceries, I cook for the flat once a week. Pharmacy trips, now I'm seeing as a real thing here. It's 2 more. That maybe don't need to be in the essentials.
Don't buy Band-Aids from the pharmacy. Don't buy plasters from the pharmacy because it's so much cheaper in the supermarket. Painkillers of any kind, so much cheaper.
No, but if you're desperate and you're hobbling because your feet are so sore, you've got a giant blister, am I going to walk extra 2 kilometres for 40 pence off a plaster packet?
I'm pretty sure you passed Sainsbury's local before that, but okay.
Groceries. Class pass, essential. Rumble, late to classes, missed classes was a charge.
No, but did you dilute your non-essential pot?
No, I just overspent.
No, see, I wouldn't do that. I think if you've caused yourself late fees or no-show fees by not going, you have to take it out somewhere else. In order for your goals to stay the same, if you set yourself a £2,000 goal, that's just getting further and further away, when really you could have had your non-essential spot slightly less that month to make up for the lack of diligence you showed in your essentials.
So what I will say is I got to the end of this month and I had a surplus of 358 that I hadn't spent from my nice to haves. Great. So I underspent. Oh no, I'm not thinking about my Paris trip actually.
It's still a really good step, though. It's a really good step. This is a trial period, right? You're finding the balance. And you can't be disheartened by the fact that you've had a wobbly month. You just got to keep going.
Yeah.
And go, great, what am I going to learn from this? And what lessons am I going to take from the fact that maybe I buy Band-Aids in bulk?
I don't think the plasters blew me out.
I've got a feeling it was Paris. But
I think it was Paris.
No, do you reckon Band-Aids, Europe? I mean...
No, I'm just thinking now, I'm thinking about it. What I need to do is I need to put money.
She's like, Dani, wait, it's just hit me. Paris is expensive. Band-Aids are not.
So I think I need to start putting in my nice to have, or pulling money out of that lump of money every month into a savings pot that can go towards things like a trip, because I just feel like I always blow out if I'm using my just normal monthly budget for something that is quite out of the ordinary.
Yeah, Paris would have been in your short-term goals. It would have been, hey, I'm going to Paris in 3 months' time. I'm going to put aside a little bit from that surplus every month so that when you get there, you're using that. And it was by design. It was there for that. So maybe your short-term pot that you put maybe 10% of your surplus to every month is travel.
Yeah.
Future trips.
I think that's what I'm going to do. That's my learning future trips pot. And I put that in a high interest savings account, which we will get to in another episode.
Yes, we will. Yeah, we'll do a part 2 and we'll talk about all of the top accounts and the interest rates currently people can go and immediately put their funds into.
Yeah.
But remember, have a look at what your bank is currently offering you. Even right now, you could have a look on their websites, and just because you've been with the same bank for a long time doesn't mean it's the best place to be.
Maybe we do this in a month's time so that I can have a bit of time to regroup, report back on my budgeting update, how I went, my learnings, and then we can talk about the short-term goals. Because I'm just thinking I need a bit of time to come back feeling motivated and enthused about budgeting. But every month is a chance to get back on the bandwagon.
Every day.
Shit.
Every day.
That was the point, wasn't it? Every day.
Yeah. Don't buy 2 coffees every single day to the end of the month because you've already had a bad one.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dani. So much. Loved this.
Pleasure. Can't wait for part 2.
Yeah, part 2 coming.
Thanks, guys.
I say bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Raising the Curve. These conversations are designed to teach you everything you need to know to be better with your money, from saving to investing to talking with your friends about your salaries, all of that stuff.
And if you like what you heard, we would love if you could please hit subscribe wherever you're listening and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about the episode.
And it only takes 1 second and it would really make our week, our month, our year.
Yeah.
So please do it. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Okay, quickly. The Curve was created to empower and educate you about investing, but we are not financial advisors.
Our platform exists for educational purposes only, and it doesn't provide personalized investing advice for your individual needs and should not be relied upon to make an investment or financial decision.
And always remember to do your own research before making any investment or financial decision.
We're here for any knowledge and support you need, but the final call is always yours.
And thanks for being here.
You got this.
Yeah, we know you got this.